Hello, and welcome to the Specialty Matcha Podcast. My name is Ryan, and this is my co-host Zongjun, who also goes by Sam.
Hello, hello.
And we're the co-founders of Sanko Matcha Products.
Yeah, we launched this podcast to discuss our learning journey in matcha, share startup stories, and interview experts. And today we have Jack join us from Jacque Matcha. Welcome back, Jack.
Hi, it's good to be back.
It was great to finally meet you in person in Kyoto. That was special.
Yes, I really had a great time, you guys. And thank you for everything, for even taking me around.
Oh, our pleasure. Our pleasure.
That was super
It
fun.
was a fun day.
Yeah, like because of that trip, I really wanted to make sure that I get to visit every harvest season because I feel like, wow, the city is just filled with tea people.
Yeah, it is. The number of matcha founders that we got to meet with over the course of 2 weeks, I think we met like 8, 9, or 10, it's like everyone,
Yeah.
descends on this place, I don't know if it's a bad time for tea farmers, but for everyone to meet each other, everyone, has these, internet, friendships, but,
Yes.
in person, that was special.
Yeah. And even like I met a few people also. I also started making new friends online. People that I messaged and be like, "Oh, you were in Kyoto too, but we didn't get to see each other." And then now we exchange messages online. So that was really good.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I even told them, I hope I get to see you the next time you guys come to Kyoto or wherever, because I really like meeting new people, especially in the tea industry. It's quite fun.
Yeah, me too. It's, really special to meet in person, and it's,
Mm.
tea people are just in general are great. And it's rare because something I realized both in this podcast, but also meeting people face to face is I actually don't a lot of us don't get to have inter industry friend conversations where
Yeah.
we all have the same problems. We're all working through the same things. And I know we went to dinner with Brian from Matsu Matcha.
Yes.
It was just a really special conversation.
I was
Try
even telling my husband about it, that dinner with Brian. I was like, it was so great because we were just like geeking out about all things tea. We're talking about the business side of things. We were talking about the farmer side of things. And I'm like, I don't really get to talk to a lot of people like that way just because I don't see them in person. And like everything that we talk about on the internet, like on Instagram, it's quite short.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's really nice to
yeah.
go like deep and just like go crazy and go geek out about tea.
And I feel like that there's just a general lack of, how do I say, opportunity, or occasion for people to geek out with
To
each
me,
other. It's quite
yeah.
to have those moments, to happen in real life. And I feel like that's the only really occasion that we can have, very naturally geeking out against each other.
Absolutely. So how was your sourcing trip? I guess it wasn't sourcing, learning trip and meeting farmers and also getting to interact with a whole lot of other tea people on that journey as you went from place to place in Japan.
Yeah. So I've visited tea farms before and I've met like other people in tea before, but it was on a really small scale. And it was like I was the only one who planned it. But this one, being introduced to like certain farmers and award winning farmers too, was really life changing. And I am not exaggerating. There were so many points in the tour or in the trip that made me tear up.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was just in awe that I get to see and experience all these things like firsthand. Things that I've only read about before or like seen photos of before, but actually stepping in that place, smelling things,
Mm.
pleasant or not, feeling the heat inside the processing facility, that was something else. Tasting the tea right in front of the farmer, that is just quite special, I feel. Like a tour is a tour, right? Like if you just go to like a place, this is what we do, this is what happens here. But to have like a more personal conversation with the people who are there, that's different, I feel.
Mm.
Like to be
Yeah.
able to ask the farmers what they feel about certain things or like have them share about their craft. So even if we had an interpreter, which helped a lot, so Machiko-san helped a lot. But I feel like there's even so much more that I wanted to understand, but I couldn't because of language barrier.
Mm.
Like I feel like they wanted to share more, at least the people who we're talking to. So yeah.
What was really cool about it, because we weren't on the tour, but it's a really unique time because the set and setting is specifically for learning. Like,
Mm,
anytime anyone in the matcha industry goes to visit farmers, like, it's not explicitly commercial, but there's, like, this undertone of a buying relationship that
yes.
people are trying to set up. But, like, in a setting where there's that expectation doesn't exist on either side necessarily, you
Hmm.
can probably ask and be a lot more curious and direct with questions that maybe would feel more uncomfortable in, like, other settings. Did you get that sense in, like, the other people that you were with? How did the group engage in that relationship with these farmers and it specifically when, like, trying to learn things from them?
Like a lot of like questions were brought up, definitely. And what's great is that Mark also asked us like if you have any questions, you can prepare it beforehand. This is the perfect time to ask questions. So we really did prepare, or at least like in the moment, right? As we were going through the conversation, like we would ask questions. And it was really great because it's really just like, so how do you do fertilization? Like what is present in your fertilizer? Or like how labor intensive is it to like take down the scaffolding after you do shading? All of those things that I think you would just glaze over if it was just like a business conversation of like buying and purchasing. So I feel like we were able to ask them about a lot more things that would have been skipped if it was just like a transactional thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, oh, no, that makes a
Right?
lot of sense.
Even as little as like them showing us the anatomy of a tea plant. I mean, come on. It's right in front of you. They teach you, they let you touch it, they let you taste it. That's something else. So, because I can only compare it to the other time that I visited the farm, and that was just literally, oh, you can go take pictures. It's great. You're in a tea field, but it's not right. Like it's not like you staying there for a few hours and like talking to them. Because it's so
Nice.
funny because the farmers were generous enough to let us do the picking. And I know how hard that is in a sense that we're all newbies. Imagine having like 20 people pick your tea and then zero experience, right? I'm pretty sure they had to sift through the tea that we picked afterwards. And it's like double labor. But it was such a generous thing to have us experience that. So we were there for like probably 2 hours in one farm. And even if it was hot, nobody felt it. Like we were all just having good conversation while we were picking tea.
Yeah.
And that was such a great, great moment. Like I feel like, yeah, that was like one of the highlights, I feel. Because I was able to get to know the other people in the tour that I was with, and also get to do this like really special thing of picking tea. That is like a very rare cultivar. So that to me was just, this is insane, you guys. I can't believe this is happening. So yeah.
That's very cool. It's very interesting because Mark from Oika is the organizer of this trip, and doing his organization,
Hmm.
he kind of positioned everyone as students, which at the time I felt that to be a little bit strange, but turns out like this is a wonderful strategy, like turning this into a more of an educational tour versus like a quote unquote sourcing tour like really helps the farmers and the manufacturers to open up. Really feel the same way with some of my other tea trips too, which are not like necessarily very transactional. We were there to learn more about tea, and the farmers are much willing to share more information in those kind of scenarios.
Yeah. We felt that too, in a sense that when he addressed us as like students of the tour, we were kind of like, what do you mean we're students? Like this is a tour. It didn't feel that way in the beginning, but then he explained to us after that, we're all students. It's students of like tea. And he was trying to explain that, even I am still a student. So it's like a continuous learning journey. And that kind of changed the perspective that, yeah, we are here to learn. We are here to like get to know what happens behind like each cup that's served to us, right? And so, yeah, it was really educational and very hands on, I feel. I bet there's a lot more things that we could have done. Like as the activities were happening, I feel like, oh, we could have done this, we could have done that. But like I guess it's just us like trying to feel the moment more or like be able to maximize everything because we're here and it's very rare. Yeah. I'm excited. Like if this happens again, it's like definitely a lot of learnings from this tour, right? Everything will be smoother in a sense because like when things are done for the first time, when you pioneer something, of course there's gonna be struggle. But at least in a logistic sense, if that was done, like if it was just Mark going to all of those places, I'm pretty sure it would have been an issue because he is like very like by himself, very agile, can move to one place and another. But when it's a bigger group, it's kind of like harder to manage. But we were still able to all have communication and relationship with the people that we visited, which I appreciate a lot.
Hmm.
So yeah, because like he would always encourage us like to keep asking or approach them or like feel things, like come up, touch the leaves, touch the shading, like touch everything. So yeah.
What was the group dynamic like? Because I feel like it's like a huge part of the experience of doing something like this is just like being surrounded at all times by other people that have like the exact same interest and like are like willing to set aside what was it like over a week of their
Yes, it
lives
was
and a
over a
lot of
week.
money to learn more about matcha in a really intensive way. I'm very jealous of, like, the possibility of, like, forming a community like that because like, it's rare that you have the opportunity to spend that much time with that many people
Yeah.
over something so specific.
It was really great. And I feel like that's one of the best things that I got from this tour because these are different people who are interested in tea from different countries. So it was really amazing. I know you met some of them during your podcast with Mark. So like one guy is from Czech Republic, one guy is from Bangkok, another couple's from Hong Kong, and then a lot of them are from Mexico City, and then different parts of the states. And we were all just there, really curious about tea. And some are just tea enthusiasts, meaning they don't own businesses, while the others are business owners. So it was also nice to be able to have conversations about the struggles in doing a tea business with different people around the world. Because I feel like we even made a chat group so that we could like consult each other after the tour.
Oh, that's
Because we
cool.
feel like, yeah, it was really great because we were all like, we should like keep in touch because I'm pretty sure we go through the same problems.
What are some of the common difficulties around the world that people are facing in the tea community right now after talking to them face to face?
A bunch of things. I feel like number one, for sure, especially in this season, would be like finding supply that's quite stable. Because all of us were exchanging notes as to who do you get your supply from, or like how much fee do you have to buy or stuff like that. So there's a lot of exchanging notes and contacts as to who we know can supply a stable matcha powder supply. And then also, uh, I guess educating the consumer base. Because I would ask them, like, how knowledgeable are your customers about tea? Like, are they very particular? Do they look for certain things? So, one of the guys, Peter from Chicago, he said, "Oh, they're into matcha, but they're not yet too specific, meaning they're not very picky when it comes to the cultivars or whatever. They don't ask that kind of questions yet. While other consumers are like, a little more, how do you call this, curious. Like they have a basic idea as to how matcha is produced or like what it takes for you to produce proper matcha so they can ask questions. So they do ask proper questions. So we would also talk about actually doing workshops, like what do you teach? what is the contents of your workshop and all of those things. And even like just basic uh I guess business problems in a sense of how to like is it that when you operate like a shop, like what happens if this happens, or like when you encounter HR problems, let's say staff training and education. So all of those things kind of came up at different times, or even as basic as like when did you start and how is rent and how is like, building a new space or renovating. So those things are the ones that we talked about or at least touched on. So and even some of us are also like very curious as to how we can do, of course, milling outside Japan, right? It's such like a big obstacle that a lot of the people in the tour group actually wanted to be able to do in their countries. Apparently, there's like a shortage for the stone mills that are crafted in Japan. So just like any other, I guess, industry and art form, that a family would usually focus on one thing and do it really, really well. But just like the Chasens, the number of families who are actually making the stone mills are like dwindling, I guess. So that's one of the issues. Like you can't find like um mills, or you can't order them right away. And also there's like factor about like learning how to mill and all of those things.
Yeah.
That is one big conversation that we talked about with one of the tour members, because we were like, oh, we really wanted to do milling, but like it's so hard to source and it's also so expensive. And then bringing it to our country, like what if something happens? Like, how are we gonna fix it? Do we ship it back? So stuff like that. And they're not far. Technically, I am one of the closest who lives like I'm from the
Yeah.
Philippines, so I'm just like what 3 hours away from Japan. Meanwhile, they have to travel like 12, 14 hours to get there. So
Yeah.
that's like a bigger issue. So yeah. And also weirdly enough, even if like I can't personally relate to it, we also talked about like tariffs and how it's affecting businesses in the States, and even like so all of those things that were all like, my gosh, what a time to start a tea business. And this is all happening at the same time. There's
Yeah.
shortage, there's tariffs, there's shortage of like even tin cans. Like it's crazy. But having to meet and talk to a lot of people made me feel like, yeah, I'm not alone. And we're all going through this at the same time. And we would also like encourage each other that even if all of these problems are like coming up, that we just have to push through with it, that it'll get better. And when you do something and you're at the beginning of it or like pioneering something, of course it's gonna get tough.
Oh
But
yeah.
like
Yeah.
it can only get better from here. Like yeah, we're supplying tea to wherever we are based, and there's a shortage. But because of the demand that's happening right now, for sure the farmers will be able to put up infrastructures in the future, but that'll take a while. But it's also because of our businesses that kind of like made that happen. So we just kind of have to ride it out.
Yeah.
So all of those things, like it's crazy and it's encouraging, weirdly, that because we were able to talk about the same struggles, we were also just got inspired and be like, hey, you know what? Whatever, we can do it. And also getting inspired because of the trip. I think that helps a lot because it put like a purpose
Hmm.
to what we're doing. There's
Yeah.
passion, there's purpose to it. It's not just like let's put up a business about something that's really popular right now. It's not that. What's great is that everyone who was there in the tour genuinely wanted to learn more about tea and wanted to study so that they could definitely understand it and share it with their customers in a better way. And I really, really appreciate that we're all in the same mindset almost. Uh that like, hey, there's so much misinformation,
Yeah.
like it's best to learn like where the source is at, so that yeah, we get to share the right information to the customers or to the circles that we belong in.
Absolutely. There's nothing like Johnny Matcha, I think his tagline is "Know the source." I think it
Yes.
really like that I really like the spirit of that and, like, physically being there and, like, talking and tasting and smelling, it just really makes it all become very real, and, like, I don't know, I feel like it makes everyone, like, a bit more, like, emotionally invested, like, in that culture and these
Yes.
producers and these people, the relationships and the traditions. It's really cool every time we go back. I feel like that gets, like, doubly reinforced.
Mm.
As you
Yeah,
met
and
with, like, producers, because you guys went to both Uji and Yame, did you
yes.
what was the vibe differences between those 2 places?
Like, I feel like Uji has their own thing going on. Or meaning not own thing. It's more of like their own struggles that they have to face. Definitely one of them is defending the name Uji Matcha.
Hmm,
Because we
Yeah.
met with the 10th generation farmer, Taishi-san from Shimizu Farm.
hmm,
And what's great is that he speaks English. So conversations with him were super like detailed. And he was able to share a lot with us, not just with farming, but also like being able to put up his own cafe in Uji City. So from there, we learned a lot already. But yeah, like he would share about the different struggles that farmers go through, farmers based in Uji go through. Like, of course, there's one is land. Like a lot of the things are being developed around Uji, so that means less farmlands for tea to be raised and cultivated, I guess. And then also like protecting the name because Uji tea is quite special and popular. But as you already know, like not all tea that's labeled Uji tea is actually grown and produced in Uji.
yeah, very little.
Right, like so things like that, like, and it kind of made me realize that wow, some of the struggles go beyond the shortage, go beyond you know, global popularity. Like
Yeah,
some struggles can actually just be within that circle and it's already so tough. So I feel like they're going through so many things. But yeah, that's what I feel like in Uji they have those issues, right? And then in Yame it's also quite different. I feel like Yame is a little more chill.
okay.
And I guess it's also the location because when we visited the farm in Uji, it was literally in the middle of like a highway. So imagine like walking into like a Hondu shaded tea farm. And then right when you go outside, it's the highway or there's like a flyover above your head.
Yeah, yeah,
So it was definitely a different vibe. So that was in Uji. It's more city like. And then when we went to Yame, it was a lot more laid back because we were in the mountains. It was super chill, super cool. So I feel like that's the vibe a little bit. It's more, how do you feel? It's more industrious feeling in Kyoto and in Uji.
hmm,
And
Yeah.
in Yame, it was more relaxed
yeah.
and chill.
That
Is
matches
that
our
like,
experience a bit too, because we were walking around the Shirakawa region of Uji,
mm,
and Gokusho region, and, like, it's so sad. Like, you can tell that this was once agricultural land. These
yeah.
families are trying to hold on. There's, like, house goes up here, highway cuts right through here. Like
Mm,
it feels like it's, just a
Yeah.
vestige of a very different time. And, like, it's really sad that there's this gigantic highway, like and this is, like, not just like, this is all over Uji, like, they'll just
mm,
cut right through, like, tea fields, and
yeah.
it's really sad to see.
Yeah. The amount of development happened is astounding over the past few decades, and a lot of the tea fields just vanished. It's very sad.
Mm. So yeah, like because I know that in Taishisan's experience, I feel like some of the land that they used to own, to be used for public use, right? Like for roads and for like anything that the city would need. So that means smaller lands for them to be able to grow their teas. So like that's sad.
Feels like they have more room down in Yame, and, like, everywhere else too.
In Wazuka, they have so much room. So yeah, when we visited Bazuka, that's also like a different vibe altogether. It's quite industrious, just like Uji, but it's like rolling hills of tea bushes. So
Mm.
it's also like a different vibe. So yeah.
Yeah,
But I feel like
it
a
was
lot
quite
of the
amazing.
farms in Yame are like very small. At least the ones we met, like their business is not like the super commercial exporting kind. It's more of like family owned small businesses, and it's that made it a lot more special to me actually. So
Did you
yeah.
notice any differences in the processing facilities? Like, because you guys visited Hoshino then, right? Down in Yame, and their
Mhm.
processing facility versus like the traditional Uji ones. Because like, they say it's like roasty toasty in Yame, and then like, umami and deep and rich and Kyoto Prefecture and in Uji. Like, did you notice that in the processing and when they were describing the processing differences at these facilities?
For Kyoto, at least the ones I noticed is that they have, well, it also was present in Yame, but like they have like red brick ovens
Mm.
that they use to dry the tea leaves. So I know like we touched about this when we were talking with Brian, that red brick ovens, what do you call this? Like, what do you call it? Does it reflect infrared, or does it like
Yeah, it's like
help
infrared
bounce it up?
radiant energy versus like just like convection, hot air.
Yeah.
It's the
So
the infrared.
so that one, like I was so surprised to see the red brick ovens in person.
Mm,
When we were talking about it, our trip hasn't started. So it was like, okay, I've only seen these in pictures. So I didn't really notice it. Like, I mean, I didn't realize the effect. But then the ones that we went to actually uses red brick ovens that's been with them for a while. Differences in tea, it's quite differences in processes, not a lot different.
okay.
What do you call this? I forget which area we were at. Wait, can I check my notes?
For sure.
Because there was one farmer that shared that they make their tea, they process their tea with a different temperature. This was in Hoshino.
Okay.
Let me check. Okay, there. I found it. What they use, they called it that smell of roastiness. They called it kaori or hikaori. So in
Hikaori, yeah.
Yame, one of the producers shared that they actually like in I think in Kyoto, they do like a process of drying, right? But in Yame, they do like a second, like they say that they heat it again.
Okay.
So I feel like it goes through a second round of drying. The second round of drying, he said, adds aroma to the tencha.
Okay.
So that is something that I took note of. Like when he shared it, of course, like um explaining it could have been better if we understood Japanese. But that's what he said, that it goes through like a second round of heating to add aroma. So that's what's different from what was shared when we went through like the processing facility in Uji versus the one in Hoshino.
Okay.
Yeah. 'Cause they go through like four rounds of drying. Like they slowly dry it, right? Because it's like in a conveyor belt. So in
Yeah.
Uji, it goes through four times for it to dry into aracha. And then, yeah, they add, I guess, another level of heating when it comes to Yame and Hoshino.
I wonder if the extra step of drying has anything to do with the local temperature and humidity. Because when we had the experience of seeing some of the processing, tencha gets like wet very quickly if you just let it sit in the open air. And depending on the humidity inside the facility and also in the local environment, I wonder if that would have been the cause in the beginning of why Yame has that extra step of drying.
Mm.
That could be a possibility because of course it's a totally different terroir and they're in the mountain. So probably the humidity level is quite different. So in the beginning, in order to preserve and not ruin the tea, they had to do like an extra step of drying, right? And then it contributed to like it being nutty and toasty and then distinct to the region.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, it'd be cool to find out. Because something we've noticed in doing all of our mill testing too, like we're
Mm,
developing the mill in the Guangzhou, Shenzhen area, which is super
yeah.
humid. We if we leave tencha sit out for too long or, like, don't pay attention to resealing the bag perfectly. I remember
Mm,
we left, and then we came back 2 months later, and we realized our tencha bag wasn't perfectly sealed. The color went from, like, that beautiful, like, dark green, like, like the with the slight bluish hue, like a
mm.
really high quality tencha look, to this, like, really disgusting, more pale, and we touched it, and it was, like, soft.
Slightly damp. Yeah,
It was, like, absorbing water from the air.
that is super possible.
Like, tencha is really sensitive to humidity and
Yeah,
to moisture, which made me think, I think this is why matcha just degrades like that. The
really
moment you
fast.
open the can, it's because now imagine you've, like, exposed all this surface area. It is, like, hungry for that moisture, and it probably pulls
Oh
it
yeah,
right out of the air, and, like, the
Mhm.
moisture is, like, what really accelerates the degradation and oxidation reactions that's going on.
and think about the places that you end up opening that can of matcha is in the cafe countertop, it's in your kitchen. It's like really
Mhm.
the most moist place that you can think of.
Yeah, and it's near a water supply, right? It's probably near
Yeah.
a kettle or a sink.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. Because like when we touched tencha, it was almost translucent. Like some of the tea leaves are translucent, right? Because they're like young
Mm.
leaves and then they're dried and then their veins and stems are removed. That when you put it in your tongue, it kind of like goes soft really fast. So I can just imagine it being exposed to humidity and then like slowly absorbing all of it. Yeah, it really degrades fast.
Yeah. Such a in so many ways, like, matcha just shouldn't exist. Like, the amount of work, how quickly it degrades. Even if you just make a cup and you let it sit in a glass, it'll settle to the bottom. It's just like it's such a transient, fleeting thing at every stage, and how much
Yeah.
work it is to just get it to come to life.
And I guess solidifies the idea of it being the tea of choice in tea ceremonies, right? Because they teach you to be present and in the moment and enjoy what's going on. So probably that's one of the things as to why matcha is what it is,
Yeah, very much Ichigo Ichie.
right? Like it's a fleeting thing. You open a
Yeah.
tin of matcha for the very first time, and it's all these complex flavors and stuff. And then a week later, 2 weeks later, it's totally different from the first time you opened it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, can never be replicated.
Nope.
I will forever remember my first experience smelling the kaoli coming from Tenju and how drastically it changed like 2 days later. I almost thought that Ryan swapped the tea and trying to take the good tea for himself.
But, we're hoping fresh milling can help, and, the machine we're developing can help re-replicate, the day 1 shelf life on demand, which, it should be able to help.
It's the next step, right?
Yeah, I logically, it feels like this is, like, the next evolution, because like, you
Mhm.
preserve taste, you preserve nutrition, just the infrastructure has to catch up.
Yeah. Because, like, it's very similar to coffee. Like, when they discovered you can grind it in your home, like, there's so many, like, advancements that happen when it comes to the grinders.
Yeah,
So now that people are paying attention to matcha, I feel like finally the infrastructure will be better.
yeah, and I think that, in matcha, it's even more important, arguably, than in coffee. Like, I'd
Yeah.
rather have pre-ground coffee than like, I'd rather have fresh ground matcha than fresh ground coffee. Like, it's,
Yes.
which might be a controversial thing to say to some coffee people, but, like, coffee already has a very strong taste. Like, matcha is delicate, and, like, it's, like, the moment, like, some flaw or something happens to matcha, it just becomes so obvious,
Hmm.
and, like, it really stands out in a way, like, where in coffee, I find it's kinda gets covered up a little bit just because it's an intense beverage.
And I feel like, you know how coffee brewers have certain recipes that still bring out the best qualities of coffee, even if it's like past the ideal roast date or
Mm,
grind date. Like they have those things in place. As to like matcha, you can't change a lot,
No. Yeah, you have very little control.
right?
You're lucky just if you get some supply. It's a very in the hierarchy of needs, it's much lower. It's like, "Oh, can we buy it?"
Right? Exactly. Like for now, it's not what people are like aiming for or like looking for. Now it's just like I just need to get my hands on some matcha and I'll be good.
And you also have all these sophisticated equipments to preserve like coffee beans, like all these vacuum containers and all that. And I wonder if in the future, as we all moving into more fresh ground matcha, like storing tencha is going to be a problem, and properly storing
Mm,
tencha especially.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I can see that like I can compare it so easily just because I also have access to like how coffee is produced. Just because like my husband we also have like a roastery. So imagine the comparison. It's so easy to make. Like all the struggles, let's say, when it comes to tea and having it fresh ground versus like coffee, but there's still so many things that you can do right now, at least.
Hmm.
But yeah,
yeah,
they have like what they call it protocols in place for coffee already,
yeah,
which doesn't exist in tea just yet.
not yet. It will.
It
Yeah.
will.
Did you have any, what were some of the more, inspirational moments, meeting with these tea farmers or with your fellow travel partners in your time in Japan?
One of the things that stood out to me, I think, is when we were talking to one of the tea farmers in Yame, Kuruzumi-san. So he's actually an award-winning tea farmer, not for matcha, but for gyokuro. But he also produces matcha. And so we were talking to him. This guy has a really great sense of humor, by the way. Just goes through language barriers, I swear. So we were talking to him, and then at first it was just like, really funny replies or something. And then eventually we asked him what he thought of the shortage. And I believe I posted about this on my social media account also, but like we asked him what he feels about the shortage or just the increase in demand worldwide. And then he answered that he was scared. And then he paused. And then he said, I'm scared that because of the demand, not a lot of people will be able to taste real matcha. And I kid you not, that made me tear up. And our translator, Machiko-san, noticed it as well. And we were like, oh my gosh, you're making me cry. Because I feel the effort that they do, right? They put in so much work to be able to produce such great teas, high quality teas, only to, I don't know, be overtaken by like someone who has bigger supply, I don't know, or like a country that can provide something similar. I understand that fear. So I guess I was really affected by it. So that's one of the things that kind of like, oh my God. I guess that's the reason why I am extra affected and vigilant when I see something that's being presented online that's not supposed to be, especially when it comes to tea or matcha.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to farmers like Kurozumi-san who has that fear, and I can't help but feel it so deeply. Even if it's technically not my immediate responsibility, I feel like I should be able to do something about it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the highlights for me, or one of the things that like stuck to me.
That's a powerful moment. Did he
Yeah.
offer any, remedies or, ideas of, um, how, some of that can be solved? Or was it just an expressed emotion and it was then it was kind of a concluded thought?
What's great with him is that he actually owns his own processing facility. Not
Well,
to grind matcha, but to be able to turn it into tencha or aracha.
okay,
Aracha, and then they can do tencha. But not a
okay.
lot of farmers have that. So it's either they share a tea processing facility, it's like a co-op thing, while Kurozumi-san, he owns his own tea processing facility, and he renovated it actually. So Mark
Wow.
was sharing that when he was there last year, like the facade wasn't great. It was like a really old place. And then when we came like last month, he fixed it. And I feel like that is, and he also shared that that is him trying to keep up with the demand and be able to like shoulder, I guess, the labor of processing the tea instead of just having it sent to a co-op and then there's like a bottleneck that's happening.
Hmm.
So in his end, like he is doing something to be able to help. Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of
Because
agency. I mean, that's
it's
expensive.
not cheap. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not cheap to be able to like put up your own facility and have it renovated and like all of those things. It's not cheap because they're already spending so much on the tea fields, like labor and like all the materials that's needed. So yeah, it's a big risk, but a lot of the farmers are now starting to do it, I feel. Yeah, the best way is to really support those farmers.
Did the farmers you interact with express what they want the future to look like? Because it's a weird opportunity for them. Like, if you
Mm.
flip around the perspective, because you have people, like as you said, from Mexico, from Hong Kong, from Philippines, from the US, from Czech Republic, from all over the place, who
Yeah.
have just spent all this money to come to your doorstep specifically to learn because they love this product that much. That must have been incomprehensible to like their grandparents or something.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing that that happened, and, like, the consumer base has shifted so radically. Did you get a sense of, like, their thoughts on how matcha culture is being spread, the new consumers that are consuming it, and, like, what they want to see as this moves into the future?
Uh well, like a lot of the farms that we visited, they weren't really open to a lot of foreigners, which made it extra special just because like they usually wouldn't open their space or their homes to like people who are not Japanese or like outside of the tea industry altogether. So that was great. And I feel like that was just the first step that they are actually
Mm.
not the first
Yeah.
step, but like they're realizing the effect of their product across the globe. So that's one thing that people are actually coming to them and seeking them out and wanting to learn from them. And definitely they are working hard to be able to on keep up with the demand. And there's also like government help for it. Now they're giving incentives, right, to help these farmers be able to produce tea. A lot actually are shifting from doing loose leaf teas that they're now trying to do tencha just to be able to produce matcha. So they are understanding the gravity of it, but I don't know if this is in the right context, but like I don't think the price increase has reached the farmers yet. Does that make sense? Like I don't think the amount that they're paid for the tea that they produce has increased as compared to how much it is being bought by the consumers now. So there's still a lot of things that need to be worked out, but they are very aware of the sudden boom. And I'm kind of getting this feeling of like, just be patient with us kind of thing, you know, because you also, I know that there's a huge demand, but they can't just keep producing things just so they can keep up with the demand, especially if they are especially that they're the type that values like quality and values like doing things in a traditional way. So that's one thing. That's why I felt like I feel like they're also asking for just a little bit of patience, you know, so
Makes
that yes, we can supply to you, but like you gotta be patient with us too, because they're also having a hard time.
Yeah. They've, yeah, a lot of, responsibility to bear and not only
Hmm.
their own, but the reputation of their family and the region,
Yeah.
and like the gentleman you spoke of, you know, he's a tea farmer, but he also has to coordinate with, like, a bunch of, like, people to come pick the tea, but he's also a
Yeah.
factory owner and a factory operator, and, like, he also has to deal with probably an export department and sales
Hmm.
distribution, and, like, it's a lot of hats to wear.
He probably has more agency than a lot of small farmers. You know, a lot of the smaller farmers
Yeah.
probably got really sheltered away by the larger tea houses or tea brands. that by the end of the day, who sells the product makes the most money, right? And the
Yeah,
profit
yeah.
hasn't necessarily trickled down to them yet, which is kind of cool to see, like all of us are slowly, venturing into all these not necessarily the super traditional regions like Uji
Mm-hmm.
or like Yame, but also like to all the areas around it. And I think, there's it's going to be soon that, all of these will trickle down and spread to all of these smaller regions and smaller farmers.
Yeah.
It's really a shame that foreigners can't participate in the commodities market, right? Because everything just gets sold, or the auction market.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's super like private.
Because in every other industry, like in chocolate, you can form direct relationships, but I mean, you can also buy from cooperatives, you can buy at auction, same thing with coffee. I mean, even specialty coffee has its own, like, commodities market where, like, we can have access to these things at lower prices and then do our own value add, like, either
Yeah.
coordinate a milling facility to get it milled and then onwards, or if you have the capacity to mill it yourself, or do some of, like, the end processing yourself. And the fact that, like, it's very hard to buy from these farmers unless they have, like, very vertically integrated from, like, the tea plants all the way through Tencha. If
Yeah.
they don't have that infrastructure, like, we don't have access to it, but if we had access to it, we could give way more money to smaller farmers that would directly go in their pocket. And maybe it would, one downside is it probably really raises the price for the traditional players, all the chashis and the blend houses that are a really
Mm-hmm.
important part of the ecosystem. But the other benefit is that it probably would make it a much more attractive profession.
Yeah, for the younger generation.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was listening to the
Also,
Global Japanese Tea Association did some videos of interviewing some farmers in Shizuoka, and they were talking about, "Yeah, we're switching to yuzu and shiitake mushrooms.
Oh,
Tea
no.
is too much work, the price is too low," um, and it's like, that's a real thing, and I think if foreigners
Yes.
had access to the commodities or the auction market, we could really raise the price for these people that we
yeah.
don't have access to. A lot of structural change, I
Also,
don't think it can happen.
and also like the fact that you're giving money directly to the farmers, not only making them rich, which is very nice, but also you're making these farmers much more risk resilient and probably will be more risk taking in terms of investing for larger productions or more processing facilities. And one thing that we've been talking to the farmers and they have shared the concerns is that investing for production, investing for equipment, investing for upscaling the garden is very time and capital consuming. And a lot of farmers just do not necessarily have the cash flow to be able to do that.
Yeah,
And the fact that we can, give them a lot of cash flow will probably make them much more willing to take the risk and expand their production.
that's true. I don't know. I hope that happens, right? That they open these things up to foreigners. But even because even like in Japan, they're quite private about it. It's almost like a secret society that you can
Yeah.
step in an actual auction for tea. And unfortunately, women can't really make a stand too, even if you're Japanese.
Yeah, I went to
Right?
Oh,
It's mostly male.
I went to a talk in Toronto from someone who started a B2B matcha business in Canada, and it was
Hmm.
a Japanese woman, but I think she grew up in Canada, and she did an internship at the Shizuoka Tea Auction, which I think is the largest tea auction house in Japan, and
Hmm.
apparently she was the first woman on payroll ever. She was an intern, and this was, like, I don't know, it was, like, 8 years
Wow.
ago? Like, it was very recent. Like, Japan has a very long way to, like, like, it's crazy.
Because I saw this like in a video documentary or something. It follows a Japanese woman's family tea business. His father is the one who does all the blending and is the chooses all the teas to be bought in the auction, right? Even if she is technically the second in command, because she's the one being trained to do it, she can't make much decisions, especially during the auction. it's still her father and like another male colleague that's not family. Does that make sense? Like, parang they really still value this role to be filled by a male versus it being taken up by like a woman. And that video was literally like a year and a half ago or something. So it's
Right?
still happening. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the whole society is complicit in it.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the other benefit to opening it up to foreigners too. Like someone who really wants to pursue this can open it, add the value, but get access to the commodities market and then like create these products like outside of the system. The problem is you have to be in the system to participate, and that system is
Yes.
deeply sexist. Opening it up to foreigners is also opening up the system to everyone
Mhm.
in theory, where you don't have to be in the system. So it's, because like, imagine, like, your family coffee business, like, with your roastery, like, it would
Yeah.
be wild if, like, they didn't have access to green coffee and, like, being able
Mhm.
to buy that on the market at the prices that all coffee roasters can. Like, imagine they had to go to, like, Blue Bottle or something,
Oh, that.
or,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
beg someone for, like, some finished product, right? Then the whole business is predicated on adding value in this value chain. Right? Like the roasting, the curation, the preparation, the cafe space. And like there's very few people who have access to add any value other than matcha education and, you know, selling on products that like have there's very little value left to do unless you're milling matcha fresh. And it's very, very frustrating. I think we lost him. Japan has a long way to go.
Yeah. I feel like they're so advanced, but not really. In a lot of other aspects, they're super advanced. But a part of them, it- like some of the practices, I feel like it's still quite dated. And they're resistant to change, right? Like they're not as comfortable when it comes to change. So
Did you
it may
encounter
take a
very
while.
many women in the tea industry when, like, just in all of your sourcing trips in Japan?
One of the families that I get tea from, Kogacha. What do you call this? The one who's handling all of the exporting and all the outward communication, she's the daughter, so she's a woman, which is great. And even her mom is really active in the business. That was actually they're the first family that I actually met, and then I wasn't surprised that they were women, right? I was more surprised to find out later on that that's quite rare.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
It's like the after realization once you, like, meet more
Like
people.
all the other communications that happened afterwards, I was talking to a female.
Okay. Jack, I saw your recent collaboration with The Weston. That looks, like, really cool. Congrats on that crossover. That's, like, really cool. Would love to learn more about, like, what that is and how that came about.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Like to be honest, it did not sink in to me in the beginning. It felt like, oh, okay, perfect. I found like a space where I can do it a lot more regularly. And then I realized that I am partnering with like an international company.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's like
it's
it's really
huge.
insane. So that was really great because they reached out to me, and the Western Manila, their focus is about wellness.
Okay.
So they were really trying to look for different activities that, power that message through. And one of the things that they were looking at was matcha. And of course, matcha has its health benefits, right? So they wanted to do activities related to it that they can offer not just for their customers and clients, but also like to people outside who are like really interested in getting to know this Japanese tea. So it was just a great like collaboration because they gave me like they was just very open. So like, okay, you can teach like everything about matcha, like up to you, tell them about the health benefits, tell them about the processes. And I'm like really excited to do it.
Nice, like
So
creative
yeah.
freedom.
Yeah, the creative freedom and they're so supportive. So we're gonna be doing that once a month until October.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
we're doing it every one Saturday per month. So the first one is going to be in July. And it's really exciting because like when I started doing workshops, there's not a lot of workshops happening yet. At least that's focused on matcha. There's probably one or two. And then when I started doing it, of course, like that was a year ago. And I've learned so much since the first one that I kind of feel like, oh my gosh, is there like a certain injustice to the first people who participated in my workshop? Because all the all the ones who will be able to attend the following ones, or at least the upcoming workshops, will definitely have a lot more access and information because of everything that I've recently learned. But I also had to, I guess, make peace with the idea that it is a constant learning journey, not just for me, but for everyone who's interested in matcha and tea. So I just hope and pray that the previous participants kind of had this like passion and curiosity that sparked in them that allowed them to like seek out these information themselves.
Or
But
you could
yeah,
teach an advanced course.
that's oh my gosh. I wish I could do something like that, but sometimes I feel like I have this thing that I have to make sure that I equip myself first before I'm able to do something and share it with others.
Fair
Because
enough.
it's quite, yeah, right? Like it's quite hard. I can't just like, I can't just gather stuff from the internet and like teach it. So it's really valuable to me that I was able to travel. I was able to talk to different people, not just the farmers and tea processors and tea suppliers, but also you guys, like different people from the tea industry, from different parts of the world. All of those things add up to the stuff that I get to share with the participants in the workshop. So yeah, it's really exciting.
That's awesome.
And imagine from the first, like the podcast that we did last December, was it? And it came out like early 2025. We were talking about pop ups. And that was like that part of like my tea journey, I think has ended. I think.
Okay.
Because now it's all about like workshops and like and and I feel honored to be able to do that, to be able to share everything that I learned, especially now that I'm so, I guess, adamant to share the right information. So
Yeah.
so it's
Super
yeah, it's
important.
it's a privilege to be able to be given a platform to be able to yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're
I'm
taking
really really
notes.
grateful. Yeah, I it's crazy. I really did not picture myself to be in this journey, I would say. I'm just a geek. I just like to read stuff, research stuff, watch stuff, and talk to people and learn more. And it led me here. And I'm just really thankful that I get to share it.
That's awesome.
We are too, and
Yeah.
really appreciate you coming on the podcast again.
Well, thank you guys. It's an honor to like be able to be part of the podcast.
It's
It's crazy. Some people from the tour group, the first few days we would introduce ourselves, right? And then let's say like 3 days in or 4 days in, one or two of them would be like, now I remember you. I know you said that they knew my voice before they knew my face because they listened to the podcast. So
yeah.
I'm like, and
I
it's
get it.
crazy that because of, it's amazing. Like, because of this podcast, I was able to connect with other people far beyond my reach. It's crazy. And even meeting Pau and Obubu Farms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like amazing.
No, we really are happy with the podcast is kind of evolving into a community space because the more we like progress along in our own company and tea learning journey, the more people I meet that like are very like-minded and just like
Hmm.
people don't know each other. Like it's really great to have a platform where people can be introduced to other people in the industry. Because even I was talking with someone just yesterday who was doing a collaboration with Obubu, and we got chatting, and
Hmm.
like the conversation just like lasted for a half an hour. We're
Amazing.
resonating so deeply about like specialty matcha and like promoting what the farmers are doing and like different consumer behavior patterns and how like people are developing healthier relationships with caffeine.
Yeah.
Really interesting, and we're really happy that the podcast can be for a way to help cross awareness that, like, other people exist and what their focus is and their experiences, and it's something that I'm really personally very satisfied that it's evolved that way.
Super. Like just the amount of people I met because of your podcast is insane. Yeah. Like even John from Johnny Matcha, Brian from Matsu. I met Marcel briefly in person.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Like we bumped into him, so that was great. I talked to D of Homecoming Matcha
Oh yeah.
online. So like it's really nice that you're able to do this and like connect people. Yeah. I
Such
hope you get
pleasure.
to do those dinners
Oh, yeah,
when
that's
we
great.
all like go to Kyoto all at the same time and have like a community meetup.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
our
let's do a big
goal
party.
is in-person community dinner. Well, I think it's a great place to stop. Thank you so much, Jack, for coming on again,
Thank
and
you.
we're really excited about your work. We need to make a trip to the Philippines to go to one of these Weston
Yes.
workshops. That's super cool crossover. Congrats. It's a
You
huge
know,
thing.
thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider sharing it with a friend, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.
See you in the future.